guys, nice to see you again. Thank you for coming. Once again, we've got Dr. Karen in the building.
Hello.
About to just empower us with a lot of wisdom.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, you always kill it. So we all know we're gonna learn together today. If you do not already have like a cup of tea or coffee, ice cream, popcorn, whatever it is, maybe start the video off with that because this is going to be a long video. But today's topic actually is, I think, the most requested, and it has to do with narcissists. It seems like a lot of us are curious about how to handle narcissists. Are we in a relationship with someone who is one? What is narcissism? I feel like sometimes we use that quite lightly. Like, you know, if you are taking a selfie, it could be like, oh my God, so narcissistic.
Yeah.
And it may dumb it down a little, but now I'm curious to know, like, what is a narcissist?
First of all, I
a
guess you have to
narcissist?
know where the name narcissism came from.
Okay.
It's something that came from Greek mythology. There was this son of a river god and a nymph who was called Narcissus. And he was destined to live a great life. However, a seer one day came and told Narcissus' mom, your child is going to live a great life only if he never sees a reflection of himself. Then at some point in his life, he rejected someone major. And because the gods wanted to seek vengeance on him, one day as he went to a river, he saw his reflection. And when he saw his reflection, he fell in love with it. And he stayed there and he pined for his reflection. And unfortunately, as Greek myths sometimes don't have the happiest endings, unfortunately he died on that spot. And the flower that sprouted on that spot, there's a belief that the flower that sprouted on that spot was called the narcissus, and that's where it came from. So it was pretty much, it was a Greek way of trying to show people that you shouldn't be self-absorbed and so into your how you look. And that's where the term narcissism came from. Started with the Freudian psychiatry and then finally with psychology, and that's where the term narcissism came from.
Right.
Narcissus and self-love. And they work together because it's a huge elevated self-esteem.
Okay, right. Which we all know, self-love and self-esteem is good.
Yes.
But I guess too much of it
is not good.
Is where we're now on the verge of narcissism.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of times you find people using it to define someone who they were in a relationship with and say, oh, that guy was such a narcissist and that's why we couldn't stay together. Or my aunt is such a narcissist. I don't know how my uncle, hangs out with her or lives with her.
Yeah.
But what we do by doing that is that we kind of misuse the term and we label our friends, we label our relatives, we label a child who is in school with our child.
Yeah.
We label everyone, but in the process of doing that, sometimes what we do is we use it so lightly that we actually miss out on the actual real narcissists that exist.
Okay.
But then keep in mind
that
all of us have a level of narcissism to a lesser extent or to a greater extent. All of us do.
Okay.
It's when it's to a greater extent and it impacts the way you live your life that it then becomes something to handle. But every single one of us does. It's just that we're not on a scale. It doesn't impact your life or your daily functioning. Someone who actually is a narcissist, it impacts their daily life, their relationships, their daily functioning.
Okay.
But all of us have a little degree of it.
Right.
And you know what? Sometimes it's actually healthy because if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be self-confident. You wouldn't go for a promotion at work because of the skills you have.
Yeah.
You also wouldn't approach someone who's attractive because then you're thinking, I'm
not good enough. I'm not sure. But I hear you because again, it boils down to self-love.
It does.
And some kind of confidence.
Yeah.
This isn't now a random, like I'm going to throw this at you. We haven't. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but we don't sit down and organize exactly what I'll be asking and how she'll be answering. So as we're talking, I'm literally learning along with you guys. Yeah. So I have a question. Are men more likely to be narcissists than women?
No. No.
I thought that was going to be
I know. I'm sure you did. A lot of times people think it's actually women because we take time to do our makeup. And
I hear you.
But it's kind of equal.
But I guess in my mind, when we're talking about going in for promotion and being almost like overtly confident, I felt like men usually are the ones who are like puff chest, shoulders high, and we're going to go in and take over the world, and kind of that like a
that's learned,
like 300, I feel like they're the ones who are like. So I thought maybe, but
I get what you're saying.
But
however, it's not the case. It's just that men are taught that when you go for something and go gung-ho, everyone's like, oh my gosh,
That's
amazing.
good.
When you go and do the same thing, you're
It's
labeled
like, you're too ambitious.
No, you're labeled
relax.
Yeah, there's a term that comes with it. Like, oh my gosh, instead of, oh, she's a go-getter.
Yeah.
She's such a...
Fill in the blank.
Yes,
You're right.
that's the thing. And
go
that's
in.
because we're so worried about how we are perceived, we then don't go as aggressively as men. And that's why even during a meeting, if a guy takes over your presentation or takes credit for it, you wait until later to go at him because you don't want to be seen as the emotional. Because again, women tend to be labeled as emotional for something that a man would be labeled as, aggressive or, the
go-getter.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it's society that does that. But does that mean that men are more? No.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women have the I'm gonna get it.
Right.
It's just that the way we do it is different.
That's true. Okay. So then, I guess from a psychological point of view, what is a narcissist?
Narcissistic personality disorder is a mental disorder. It is not. That's why I say don't use it just lightly.
Okay.
There needs to be a test. There's something called the NPI, which is a narcissistic personality inventory that was developed in 1979 by two people who were Calvin S. Hall and Robert Raskin, and they created something called the narcissistic personality inventory. This is a test that's necessary to try and gauge someone's level of narcissism because they're different levels. It's not just one.
Okay.
In order to be labeled as a narcissist in the kind of pathological way, you need to be on the very end of the spectrum. It's considered a line.
Okay.
There are us who are like maybe on the bottom end, but then there are those who are on the extreme end.
Right.
And in order for that to happen, this can only be diagnosed by someone who has the training to diagnose it, and that's usually a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
And it's not just this one test, there are many others that go with it before someone is labeled.
Oh, wow.
People who actually can be labeled as people who are genuine diagnosed narcissists, about 1% of the population of the world. It's not as common as people think. So if you find that you think that 4 of your aunts are narcissists, then chances are you're mislabeled.
Yeah, right.
It's 1% of the population, and these ones are serious.
Okay.
Like you almost can't miss it.
And is it something that you can see in yourself? Like, can I see that I am a narcissist, or would I need someone in my space who loves and cherishes me to tell me, to point it out? Can I see it in myself?
That's a tricky one. Because a narcissist doesn't see what you see.
Okay.
So that's a tricky one. And chances are, if you're trying to tell someone that they do have those traits, if they do have those traits, you're going to have a very hard time. They're not going to admit it.
Right.
As far as they're concerned, you're the one who's wrong. I'm right. So I don't know what you're trying to say, but thanks for your opinion, but it's irrelevant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess caution to everyone out here who's probably just trying to take notes to be like, I'm here to prove that really and truly this guy or this girl is a narcissist. So just take it easy.
Yeah.
Remember, we're all at the end of it, I guess we're all on this spectrum. It's just
there's a continuum.
Right.
Yeah, but at the very, very end is when now someone would need then, psychiatric or psychological help. But if you're going to try and be the one to solve it, there is actually no set way to go about it. So you're actually taking on more than you can chew.
Okay.
Now, there's someone called Craig Malkin, who is a Harvard Medical School psychologist, and he came up with something that I thought was a nice short description of what a narcissist is.
Okay.
Narcissists feel superior to others, but they are not necessarily satisfied with themselves as a person. A lot of us believe that they think that they are perfect.
Yeah.
Deep down, some of them may know that they're not, but they still feel superior to others, no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a description that I liked, and that was by a very good guy called Malkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the traits of a narcissist?
Okay. A narcissist has pretty much this, an insatiable appetite for the attention of others. They want attention no matter what.
Oh crap, I don't mean to do this, but I feel like I'm going to be one of those people taking off things. So if my facial expressions are selling me out, sorry. No. But I'm just like,
Yeah, the thing about these things is I always believe that approach them as an educational thing.
Right.
And don't self-diagnose, because you will have every disorder that we ever list.
Yeah.
You will, if you self-diagnose.
Yeah.
Because there's some things that you do that will show up among the things that we mentioned, but until someone actually evaluates you and does the tests, don't assume that you do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to mention some things you may think, oh my gosh, she's talking about me.
Right.
But no.
Yeah.
Just take it as it is.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So they have an insatiable appetite for attention of others.
Okay.
Extreme feelings of jealousy are another thing.
Okay.
An expectation of special treatment. You must treat me in a special way because I am special.
Okay.
A lot of them exaggerate their achievements, their talents, and their importance. A lot of them do. Extreme sensitivity and a tendency to be easily hurt and to feel rejected when anyone criticizes them or mentions something that they think they could perceive as criticism.
Okay.
They also have difficulty maintaining healthy relationships because a lot of them are all about me. It's me, my life, me, and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
They fantasize about their own intelligence and their own success, and a lot of times that's why they, grandize it and make it this grandiose thing.
Yeah.
Their power, and they're very obsessed with the people who are more exhibitionist in this trait are very concerned about their appearance. It has to be everything. It's all or nothing.
Okay.
They have an ability to take advantage of others to achieve a goal, and they do this without regret and without a conscience.
Okay.
So that's why I'm telling you, it's a major thing
No,
to
it's
have
it's
and
really
to say.
intense.
Exactly. They have a lack of empathy, which means that they don't understand or share the feelings of others, which is why when you were talking about approaching them, what are you talking about? This must be your issue, not mine. Yeah, that's how they are. They have a tendency to disregard others' feelings. So it doesn't matter whether you sit down and have an intervention with them and say, I feel this way because...
Yeah, or when you said this, it hurt me.
No, it's a lack of empathy.
Yeah.
I don't see what you're talking about. It's not relevant to me.
Yeah,
You're too sensitive. Yeah, you're too sensitive. Yeah, you're over-exaggerating. I don't know what this is about.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what it is. They have a belief that only a few people who are as good as them, which are very few, can understand how unique they are.
Oh.
Only very few, no one else.
Okay.
Yeah, they consider themselves Romeos of the world.
Okay.
They think that they're absolutely skilled in romance and they know all the tricks, all of them. And they're so willing to give advice, even though their relationships may not have worked out. They are right there. I'll give you some because I'm the guru here. Why not? Yeah, why not? They respond to criticism with anger.
Okay.
With humiliation. So they humiliate you. Their goal is to cut you down as much as they feel that you've cut them down. So it's anger, humiliation, and shame. They try and make you feel ashamed of who you are. So their thing is to attack and attack and attack.
Yeah.
If you criticize them at all.
Right.
It'll never be taken well, which is why, again, I said, if you're going to try and approach them, just be ready for someone to come back at you. Some of them have sharp wit.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready for that. They seek out praise and positive reinforcement from others. It's never from within. I just want you to see what I'm doing. I want you to see that I'm really good at what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
They have an expectation that everyone's going to agree with them and go along with what they believe. Because after all, they're the ones who are right. So how can you not go along with it? If you don't, you're the one missing out. So boo-hoo to you. And whatever they crave or yearn for must be the best. They don't go for anything less than the best. So they must have the hottest husband, wife, the best car, the best. They just have to have the best. Okay. Just to make sure that they keep feeling superior to others. Right. So those are some of the traits.
Yo, that's a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, as you started speaking, I was just like, let's start ticking them off.
No,
but then as you continued, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some items I could see myself in, and if I'm being very honest, there's some items, most of them I would say I couldn't, but of course, like, I bet a narcissist would, I mean, I don't think I am, I'm not trying to say I am, but I mean, I could relate to some of those points, and then as you were talking as well, I started to see people in my life who I think maybe, but again, I had to remind myself that I'm not in any position to be diagnosing anyone.
And many people aren't.
Yeah, but I guess this is really just about educating ourselves and knowing really and truly when you use that term, is it just because someone, I don't know, got a promotion? Took 5 selfies and you're just like,
didn't like them.
Narcissist?
No.
Or are they taking a good chunk of the list?
Because these are the most common.
Yeah.
There are others. It's a long list. This inventory that I talked about, that test is not a joke.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Yeah.
So the question is, are you a narcissist?
Or not? I like you said, I think there are aspects in that, like, do I want the best for myself and like for my family? Yes, I want the best, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna undercut someone or make someone feel bad. Do I like receiving criticism? I don't like it, but I've learned, but I don't necessarily shame. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I could see aspects that could relate to almost anyone and myself included. But a lot of what you listed was the extreme end, where they're shaming, instead of taking in the criticism, they're shaming you.
I like the fact that you said that. One example of how a narcissist may respond to criticism would be, it's time, let's say you're in a lesson of some sort, maybe you're in college, and you're supposed to give feedback to the person. And they finish the presentation, and now it's time for people to give their kudos or to say something that could have been done better. So the kudos are well accepted, and someone may smile as they're getting the kudos. But then, when someone then says, oh, I don't think you mentioned this and this and this, they'll say, well, your presentation wasn't as good as mine anyway. And then they immediately snap back at you. So it's immediate, it's quick to anger. I'm not listening to what you said, but I'm going to try and cut you down.
And make you small.
And woe unto you, you presented before them, because they're going to cut your presentation down right there. And they don't notice they're doing it. Where other people are looking shocked, because their thing is, I'm attacking this person. How dare they say something about my presentation? That would be an example of narcissism.
Oh, and I'm glad that you're bringing in the school aspect as well. Because again, these are people that we could face in any aspect of our lives, whether it's at work,
family,
relationships, family, school, right?
Everywhere. Now, I'm going to give you, there's something where 6 things to see if you may be tending towards narcissistic traits.
Okay.
6 things.
Let's take the test together, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I'm not going to give you the scores because I don't want you to self-diagnose. And that's one thing I don't want you to do.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do is, so there is a test that's done and it has scores. I'm not going to tell you how it's scored because that could be harmful as opposed to helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say some things and I'm going to have the test in front of me because I don't memorize them. And... Are you ready?
So you want me to answer?
No, you don't have to answer.
Okay.
You answer wherever you are and answer just to yourself.
In your heart.
Okay? So just think about it and just see.
Also, disclaimer, I'm going to say Dr. Karen said that she doesn't think I'm a narcissist. And I'm gonna take her word as gospel truth. So I'm hanging on to that. Like, I feel like at least I'm not a narcissist. But let's see.
And again, I am human. Who knows? Maybe I haven't diagnosed her yet.
I don't know.
But let's see. Okay, number 1. Unilateral listening. So if you're a unilateral listener, you will have what I want and what I have to say are all that matters when we talk. When we make decisions, what you want, your concerns, your feelings, these are just mere whispers. The complete inconveniences to me, and they're irrelevant. A narcissist dismisses something that someone says. They negate what you say. They ignore what you say. They minimize what you say. And they just render anything that you've brought up as a concern or a comment as irrelevant. And it's simple as that.
This is number 2?
This is number 1. We're still on number 1. This is all about number 1. Wow, this is what they do. And then if you say something, they'll listen to you, maybe, or pretend to be listening, but then they'll continue with, but you always. So immediately they've done that. That but that they use kind of erases and negates anything you've just said. That's number 1, unilateral listening. The other one is, it's all about me. So, is this what you do? I know more. I know better. I'm more interesting. Which means that when we talk, it's mostly about me. If you start a conversation and you start talking about you, the next thing I do is turn it around and make it all about me. Oh, but then when I did that, I did it this way. That's what someone would do. So when I want something, I need to have it. And that's just how I am. I don't care how you feel about it, but I have to have it now. And that's how I operate. That would be number 2.
Wow. Okay.
Number 3, when you're thinking about who you are, do the rules not apply to you? In other words, can you cut in a line when others are waiting and not care? Do you feel more important than others and just go ahead? Are rules for other people to follow, but not necessarily for you? Do they just hold you back?
Right.
The next one is number 4. Your concerns are really just criticisms of me. And I hate being criticized. So in other words, as soon as you give me feedback, I feel like you're deflating who I am. So I snap back. I can criticize you. I can say what I want to say about you. But when you turn it around, then I see it as you're hurting my feelings and I'm going to hurt you back. And that's my goal. My goal is to hurt you. So I'll pick the things that I know about you and use them against you. And that's how they fight.
Oh, wow.
They
That's
use them
not
against
fighting
you.
fair.
Yeah, it's not fighting fair at all. So whenever they hear someone trying to talk about their personal feelings in a relationship, then they'll see that as a criticism of themselves. So some of the things is like, it's all about me. So your feelings are criticizing who I am. Your feelings are saying that I'm not good at what I'm doing. So if you say like, I feel lonely, then immediately they interpret that as, oh, you're saying I don't spend enough time with you. That's how
Right.
they see it.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't about, oh, I feel lonely. They didn't even check whether it was at work or what it was. As soon as you mentioned it, they internalized it and said, are you saying I don't spend time with you? It might have nothing to do with them, but it's all about me.
Okay.
All right, the next one to check. Are you someone who believes that you're always right and everyone else is wrong? In other words, when things go wrong between us, like let's say we're in a relationship, if something goes wrong, it has to be your fault. It can't be me. I never did anything. So they don't take responsibility for any of their mistakes. Because after all, it's an all or nothing. If you're going to say that I did something, then I'm going to snap back at you, and it's an all or nothing thinking, which means they don't want to take responsibility for mistakes, and they kind of turn it back on you and say, yeah, but then if you didn't do this, then I wouldn't have done
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it all started with you.
Yeah, it's
You're
all
the
started with you.
problem.
It's just
Right.
safer. So they're quick to get angry, and they get angry and they turn it around and say that, but if you hadn't said, or if you hadn't gone, so I'm frustrated and I'm mad, it's because of what you did.
Right.
And then finally, just to sum up, this is not another one,
Yeah.
but narcissists often show major charm and social agility, which means that they can be super confident folks, but then they also be quick to anger. They also come across as super charming. So a lot of these things you only see if you are in a close relationship with them. And because they want to seem perfect to the outside world doesn't see these things. But you, who's in close quarters with them, will see them. And it'll surprise you because you're thinking, but you're such a charmer.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Right,
So
and I guess
those are the
ultimately
main
it makes
ones.
harder for other people to see that, to
Yeah.
see whatever it is that you experience or you see.
Yeah. So if you are in a relationship with someone and one of your friends sees something, an interaction between you that may be off, and they happen to ask that person what the deal was, they will just brush it aside or say, no, she was just in a mood, or he was just in a mood, or they will tell them their version of the story that must be the truth, and they'll say it in such a charming, realistic way that the other person who's not the narcissist in the relationship looks like they're nuts. And that's how it works. Remember, they use people to their advantage.
Right.
So they know what the little cues are. I know how to appear perfect to other people.
Oh wow.
But I don't have to show you who's in close quarters with me this perfect side.
Okay. Okay, so maybe now we can move into like narcissists in relationships.
When you're dating.
Right?
Well,
because it feels like we're
yes.
I think
Yeah.
dating,
Yeah.
I guess. Is it like hopeless dating a narcissist? Can you date one and then maybe work through it?
You can. I'm going
Alright.
to talk about 3 subtypes because
Okay.
again, there's so many. As I said, it's a continuum.
Okay.
I'm just going to talk about 3 subtypes, and then you'll try and see if, and I'll give some examples that
Okay.
I found that I thought were pretty interesting.
Okay.
Then you'll see. Of course, who you date at the end of the day has to be your decision, but just know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Then at least you don't say, "Oh,
True.
I never knew."
Right.
You did.
Knowledge
You just
is power.
chose not to. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm going to talk about 3 of them. There's an exhibitionist narcissist. There's a
Yeah.
toxic narcissist. And then there's a closet narcissist. I'm going to talk about the exhibitionist narcissism is the one that's a stereotype. It's the one that we all know. The one where we think, oh, they're so obsessed with their looks and their appearance.
Yeah.
And they're grandiose in everything they do. That's the one we know is the most common. But there are others who are quieter. And a narcissist can actually also be an introvert. Yeah, I know a lot of you thought, oh yeah, it's someone who's always out there and showy.
Yeah.
No, they're also introverted.
Introverted. Oh,
There are
this is getting
some.
juicy.
There are some. I don't know whether I'll get into the end. Gosh, again,
Right.
as I
There's
said,
so
it's a huge
much.
spectrum.
Right.
I'm just going to focus on 3 subtypes, dating, and some scenarios,
Okay.
and then you'll see.
Okay.
Right. So the first one is an exhibitionist narcissist.
Okay.
Now, this one is someone who is preoccupied with self-esteem, self-centered, lacks, of course, as I said, emotional empathy.
Yeah.
Ultra sensitive to any criticism or anything that they believe might be criticism, easily angered, they like to devalue people, and they are very conscious of status. High status is a big deal for them.
I see.
Yes. So now you may have been in a relationship with a narcissist of one of these types that I'm going to mention, but you don't realize it because a lot of times these traits only come out when someone is under stress. So if there's been a stressful situation of some sort, that's when it comes out. So some people are like, how did I never realize that my husband or wife or a girlfriend or boyfriend was a narcissist? How did they suddenly come from nowhere? No, it was always there.
And this
It's
is
just-
still as part of the exhibition, not the closet.
This is now all.
Oh, this is
narcissists.
all. Okay.
Narcissists. It only comes out when
Right.
it's triggered by something.
Right.
So it's something that it's actually formed in childhood, but can only be diagnosed in adulthood.
Wait. So we're not born narcissists. Like, oh God, now I'm freaking out. How do I not raise a narcissist? You're gonna have to make this way longer, Karen. I need to, Dr. Karen. Like, we need to figure it out. Now I'm kind of like, Jesus, I don't want to. Okay, tell me.
There are many reasons why someone becomes one, but again, that's a whole different show.
Oh, geez.
It really is.
I really.
This is a massive topic.
I mean, I get those people who are like, Dr. Karen every week. I get it. I feel like now we need to like subdivide this, man.
Yeah, because then I'll get into.
Okay, we're gonna deal with that a completely different time. We can go back to what you were saying. That just obviously caught me as because I'm a mom.
You're hoping that
I'm just like,
yeah, I know.
What do I do?
I know. Well,
to make sure it doesn't happen.
It's something that's formed in childhood and it can only be diagnosed in adulthood.
Okay.
And the only thing is when a stressful situation comes, then it suddenly comes out and you find out how did they suddenly become one. It's always been there. It's just that you didn't recognize it because there was no stressful situation at that point.
Right.
So that's pretty much what it is. So an exhibitionist narcissist, this is someone who likes to be the center of admiring attention and they want to be the one to make all the decisions. Now, this is interesting. I found these scenarios that I thought were pretty interesting. I thought they were really funny. They were from someone called Katie Salermo, who was pretty awesome. And she talked about a scene. This is how a scene would work.
Okay.
Two people go out on a date, right? And there's Ted and Sue.
Okay.
So Ted is an exhibitionist narcissist, which means that he's someone who expects people around him to agree with his point of view. His ideas are right. He's above everyone else. He knows better than everyone else. He's going to get angry and fight if you disagree with him. That's pretty much what it is. Everything is out there. So he goes on a date, Ted and Sue. Ted goes on a date, and this is his feedback after the date. So Ted says, and I have to read this because I thought it was really funny. Ted says, I really impressed her. I told her how many important people I know and I took her to a fancy restaurant. I ordered a fabulous dinner for her and I chose an excellent wine and that she'd never tasted before, and I can't wait for our next date. She's so hot and next time we're gonna end up at my apartment. That's how he tells.
Okay, Ted.
Then let's see what Sue says.
Okay.
She said, I couldn't wait to get out of there. My date was so obnoxious. All he did was talk about himself the entire evening. Remember I said all he did was talk about me. He didn't ask one question about me because he's not interested. Then he insisted on ordering a steak dinner and red wine for me, even though I don't eat red meat. And I thought the salmon looked really good. I wanted to try a cocktail, but he said he wanted to order this special wine. That's how it was all night, and everything was what he wanted to do. And if he ever texts or calls me again, I'll never pick up.
Whoa, that's super extreme.
Yeah.
That's so crazy how you can have two.
There are some men who believe, I am the man in this relationship. Let me show her.
Yeah.
What that I know. She doesn't know, but I know. So let me teach her. Let me show her the ways of the world. Since I'm well-traveled, so I must be amazing at this.
Yeah.
They're just insensitive and bossy.
Right, and I bet in some cases, I mean, especially if you're newly dating, you may just see that as, oh, that's okay. I guess he's taking charge. You may not see it for what it is. You may be fooled into thinking, I guess he really cares and he's taking charge. Because you know us women, we want a man who takes charge, and then next thing you know, you're like, wait a second, I can't remember the last time I had an opinion. Or
I like the fact that you brought that up because I was going to bring that up. Because remember, this is a first date I'm talking about.
Right.
All these are first date scenarios.
So I guess it's cute in the first date.
Yeah, but also on the first date, someone's showing you their best of me. This is the best of me. I'm showing you the best of me. So if this is the best of me, when I let my guard down, what am I going to show you?
Oh my goodness.
So if I'm showing you this at the first date, and I'm not letting you make a decision, do you really think that bodes well for your future?
Imagine year 3 of your relationship.
Exactly. Like, I'm glad you brought up a girl who says, oh my gosh, because there's a closet narcissist. A closet narcissist is someone who's uncomfortable when the spotlight's directly on them.
Okay.
They want to be special, but then they're conflicted. They don't want to be special, but they don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times this comes from, often, they will have a parent who was an exhibitionist narcissist and who devalued them every time because this parent saw them as competition. So anytime they did something, this parent never recognized it, never saw anything. So it comes from that, and they're used to being pushed down.
Right.
So they start to bury their personality. They want to be seen, they want to be special, but they don't go out there because they're used to being quashed. So they won't do it.
Yeah.
So they're afraid that people are going to see their flaws.
Okay.
And they don't show them. And what they do is they're afraid that if people see their flaws, they're going to attack and devalue them just the way that narcissistic parent, who was an exhibitionist, showed did to them. So what they do is they latch on to other people who they think are, strong. And that's where that girl then, in a scenario, let me show you another scenario. Ted, I'm going to go back with Ted. Okay. Ted goes on a date with someone else.
Yeah.
And that's another scenario that I found. Ted and
Lara, okay.
Ted is the same guy. The thing about narcissists is someone who has narcissistic tendencies, it doesn't matter which girl it is, it's the same template. So I will repeat my behavior. It's the exact same guy, and according to them, because they're perfect, they don't see the need to change. Yeah. So if they were rude and mean in one relationship, they'll continue being rude and mean to you, and they'll be rude and mean to anyone who comes after you.
Yeah.
So Ted then finds another one, because to them, women are basically interchangeable. It's not a thing, there's nothing wrong with me. So they go on a date. Then Ted does the same thing, orders the food, orders the dinner, everything. But Lara then says, Ted is so wonderful. I can't believe he wants me. He's so masterful. I love that he took charge and ordered for me. How did you know that I love steak and a good red wine? He's so perceptive. So Lara, in this case, is a closet narcissist. She looks up to Ted. She idealizes him for the exact things that Sue could not stand. So that's a weird kind of, because then you expect...
Yeah, so doesn't that mean it's a perfect match? I mean, if you have one person... it just seems like a perfect match. If you have one person who's like me, and someone else who's like you, isn't that a good fit?
But remember, this person also wants to feel special.
Oh,
they're just not showing it. So for the first time, it's cute. Then they start butting heads.
Then it'll be like this.
Yes, it will, because she's not going to recognize how selfish he actually is.
Right.
So then it becomes a butting of heads much later on. She sees it as confidence, but then she also wants to be seen.
And I guess eventually Ted will reveal those extreme cases where if she tries to say something, it's like, but actually you're not good enough, and it'll take her back.
It takes her back to
her childhood.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, and then at one time, then she'll lash out.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So the third narcissist.
The third one, toxic. Toxic narcissists are not satisfied with being just the center of attention. They want complete dominance, and they want others to submit. And the way they do this is they have a sadistic streak, which is very interesting and sad.
Yeah.
And they enjoy hurting other people, and they actually look for your reaction when they do this. They want you to obey them, but they also want you to fear them, because to them, if you fear them, then you won't respond, and that's good for them. That's always a good thing for them. They're considered something like failed exhibitionists, which is very good. They're angry and they're bitter because they don't have the same status quo as an exhibitionist narcissist, and they have unrealistic fantasies. They just, they want to achieve everything, and they want you to be the best of everything. And the way they do that, because they envy anyone, is they bring you down in the process. So you may find this with someone who is a boss.
Okay.
A boss who comes up and says, if something happens, let's say there's something happening in the office, something goes wrong. He was part of it, but when things hit the fan, then he's the first one who says, you screwed up again. Are you an idiot? Do you want to just get yourself fired? These are people who like to berate people in front of others. These people who like public humiliation of others. A lot of times they're toxic narcissists because they know that you won't respond. Now they can also be very covert. It can be the sweet old aunt who for a fact is going to find something to publicly shame you whenever you meet them. And this could be the aunt who, if you're single, you walk in and she's like, oh, you're so pretty, you still haven't found a man yet? Yeah, or oh, you don't have a child yet? And they'll do it in front of people. There's never one-on-one. It's out there. This is a toxic narcissist, because according to them, in a better situation than you are, so I'm gonna bring you down in the process. Or it's the same aunt who will say, why can't a bright girl like you keep a man? Or when is baby number 2 coming? Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they aim to hurt and humiliate you in front of other people.
Right.
And a lot of times the bosses you'll find are like that, and it just happens that way.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Now let's go to the relationship. Exhibitionist Ted.
Okay.
And Mona.
Okay.
Mona is a toxic narcissist.
Yeah.
Ted is
exhibitionist
narcissist.
Yeah.
So this is how their date goes.
Okay.
Ted does the same thing. He orders for her. Let me order for you, I know you'll love it. The food comes. She is quiet for a bit. Then the food comes and she's like, she takes a few bites of the steak and she sips the wine. And then she says, it's such a shame that prime beef is no longer on the menu. You would have known much more about it if you had actually tasted it. So she's like,
Okay.
Yeah, she comes at him,
Yeah.
oh, don't worry, it's not just you, other people haven't tasted it. But you see, because I'm widely traveled, and of course I know better.
Yeah.
Most people don't know, so don't worry about it. I see why you don't know the difference, This is who you are. Yeah. So Mona is toxic narcissist, and she's dealing with Ted. She quickly asserts her dominance over Ted, just like that. His achievements that he was going to be so proud of, she's killed them before.
Right.
Before he even has a chance
That's just going to be
exactly. And that one, the goal is to establish themselves as better than you and to make you feel inferior and inadequate. And life with them is just one long put down.
Wow.
So just be ready.
Exhausting.
Yeah. Because think about this. This is the first date and someone does that. This will be the rest of your life. Because this is date 1. She's on her best behavior. He's on his best behavior. If they're going to, diss everything that you've just said, I'm sorry, this is going to be your life. You will never be perfect in front of them. Any self-confidence you had is going to be eroded and mashed until there's nothing left.
I've just remembered something that I watched, and it had to do like first dates. I'm not going to go into details, but it was someone who was really putting the other person down. So in my head, as you're talking, I'm just like, but who actually does that on the first date? And then I remembered what I watched, and it was a reality show. And I was like, well, it happened. I watched it, but there are people, and that's I guess extreme cases.
Yeah, those are like, are they as extreme as we think? No, some people just become better at hiding them. But remember, this is the first.
Again, and also, like you said, it only ever really comes out when there's a stressor involved. So they may hide it, I guess, for the most part.
They may hide it, and again, a first date is kind of like a stressor.
Yeah.
Because, you're anxious and stuff, and you want to appear your best. But those are the 3 main subtypes when it comes to dating.
Okay.
Now, of course, again, you can choose to date this person, but just know what you're walking into. So, exhibitionist narcissists openly devalue you and other people when they can't get the admiration that they want.
Okay.
Closet narcissists more likely to devalue themselves and latch on to someone else who they think is more superior. So they're more likely to express envy in quiet than to publicly insult or berate you. But a toxic one will publicly humiliate you. Their job is to see other people squirm in embarrassment, and their job is to knock people off their stride. So they often begin by interacting with someone and then putting them down immediately. And there's some people who you may even have met who, as soon as they meet you, will say, oh, you're really pretty for a... or something like that.
I now have another question. Can someone unlearn these things? Can I train myself? If you went through this list and I was like, dear God, I see myself in everything you just, like I am the toxic narcissist.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can unlearn those things or just get rid of those traits?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, there's no known cure for this, but psychotherapy can help.
Okay.
But the individual has to be willing to work with you.
Okay.
And they have to be willing to come to treatment and to understand that what causes their problems is A, B, C, and D, and to learn how to readjust their behavior. It's a lot to do with changing the way you behave.
Okay.
So there's something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which may help because then you put them in a scenario and then they see how they're being perceived, but remember they have to be open to it.
Right.
And a lot of times the person on the extreme end who has been diagnosed may never see it and may also refuse to come to therapy because after all, I don't have
They don't have a problem. Everyone else around me must
you
be
do.
the one
So
with
I'll
the problem.
take you.
Yeah.
I'll take you to live with your issue, but I'm not actually going for me.
Oh geez, when
So
you said like
it's-
there's no cure.
It's not, but again, it's tricky. It's, sometimes, medication may help at some point if it's, if it has another thing attached to it. But someone has to be willing to put in the work. So if you're walking into this kinds of relationships, know what you're walking into. Know that some narcissism is more tolerable to you than to others. You saw the way Lara, the way Ted and Sue, there was no way. But then, Ted and Lara may work really well. Ted and Mona, I
never.
don't know. So it's all, I don't. And it may. So there's some couples who thrive on fighting the entire time. So it all depends on what you get your kicks from. But just know what you're walking into. And if you're hoping to walk in to change them, you're tall order. Yeah.
Okay, so say for instance you do find someone and you realize that perhaps they are quite narcissistic, but you love them and you're trying to figure out a way around it. Is there a way to handle a narcissist?
There are ways. Are they foolproof? No, because humans are not cut and paste. However,
Okay.
there are some ways. So if you choose then to go into a relationship with someone who may have some of these traits and qualities, then determine what type you're dealing with. That way you know what to expect,
Right.
and then you don't take it personally.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
If
can
you can hear
Is it
music
on
in
the
the
back?
background,
Oh, you
I'm
can.
so sorry. I can't do anything about. They've come from church. I don't know. Like they're doing their thing. Don't judge. I'm sorry for if you can hear music in the background. But anyway.
So determine what type you're dealing with. There are many different types. As I said, I only mentioned 3 subtypes, but just determine who you're dealing with,
Yeah.
and then go from there, because you already know what to expect.
Yeah.
Then acknowledge your annoyance. Just acknowledge it. Like, know for a fact that they can be antagonistic and they get under your skin, and that's something that they do either knowingly or unknowingly. But if you're trying to get something done and one person is always trying to come and interrupt you and trying to show you that you need to admire them, sometimes recognize where your frustration is coming from. So a lot of times, unfortunately, it may fall on you. So just recognize where your frustration is coming from, and then it will give you the strength to put a stop to it if you want to bother with it, or it will give you the strength to just walk away after they're done with their rant. Appreciate where the behavior comes from. Again, like I said, someone who is like a toxic, a closet narcissist.
Yeah.
May have their own other
Baggage.
things, baggage.
Yeah.
A lot of them have their own self-esteem issues. So sometimes if you recognize where they're coming from, and sometimes it's a place of insecurity, you can provide them with just enough reassurance that they realize that you're not a threat.
Yeah.
Just enough. And then get them to settle down and then focus on the task that needs to be done.
Okay.
But just remember not to give too much reassurance, because then you're going to fan their egocentric ways.
Oh, gee, it's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act, it is. And unfortunately, a lot of times it does fall on you because they don't actually see it. Evaluate the context. Like, let's say a woman was turned down for promotion at work, and the person who she lost the job to, she has to work with, this person, if she's a narcissist, is going to be defensive, narcissistic, vindictive towards this person, and spiteful. So if you know the background as to why she's this way, it's easier for you to remember that the situation is what helped make her the monster that she is. And then you don't personalize anything that she says. Because when she's being vindictive, she might just decide to take everyone down in the process. But if you don't internalize it, becomes easier for you. Because then you're like, yeah, I know, I didn't realize, so she didn't get the promotion, so it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Although that feels like, I don't know, you feel like making an excuse for...
You're not making an excuse for it. You're dealing with it in your way. You're realizing it has nothing to do with you, because if they attack you or become vindictive and you happen to be in the same scene as the one who got the job, you will also be a recipient of the attacks.
And I guess it's the same way you can also be understanding of, if, say for instance, you lost someone really close to you and your personality changed and you lashed out, I should be able to understand you're just dealing with it.
Yeah,
and it's not me.
You.
It's not me, and it's actually not the Karen I know. It's what you're going through. So I guess in that, I hear what you're saying, to be able to almost like compartmentalize.
Yeah, sometimes in helping people, we just have to step out of our comfort zone and just decide it's not about me, and I'm not going to internalize this. Otherwise, it becomes this big thing, and that's just a thing. Maintain a positive outlook, because if you're dealing with a narcissist who derives pleasure from watching others suffer, sometimes, if they see that they're causing pain, that eggs them on. It's almost like that troll that I was talking about. This just eggs them on. They're like, it causes a reaction every single time. And their goal is to devalue, because by devaluing you, I feel better about myself. So if they notice that I don't look ruffled, I don't care. Internally, maybe you're seething. But on the surface, I don't care, I don't look annoyed, they'll move on to someone else.
Wow.
Very weird, isn't it? And maybe trolls sometimes do have some of these tendencies.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Don't let yourself get derailed from what you're doing. Let them come at you. You don't have to attend to everything that they say. They'll say something and want to just vent and move on, and in the process, maybe they insult you in the process and move on. Let them do what they need to do. Don't let it derail you from what you're doing.
Okay.
Again, unfortunately, a lot of the weight does fall on you, but what others say is not in your control. It's how you respond to it that's in your control. All right, the last thing is just recognize the person that may need help, because of course, again, remember that some narcissists have truly low self-esteem, and that's why they are the way they are, and feelings of inadequacy. So just recognize that they may need help, and then see how to get them that help. Despite the belief that personality cannot be changed, psychotherapy has been known to help some people, as I said. So even if it's even if there's no known cure, there actually is psychotherapy, and that's always a good default.
Okay, good. And then remember, as usual, we will leave Dr. Michelle's contacts in the description box. If you have seen bits of yourself in the descriptions, or someone that you know and love and care about, and think that they would be open to it, I guess, maybe consider going to visit a clinical psychologist and getting some kind of diagnosis, or maybe help in some way.
Psychiatrist as well.
Psychiatrist, right.
Definitely do
right.
that.
But yeah, you guys know that we take a while with these conversations and sessions. So if this was like a 13 to 14 minute video, I mean, we can't help it. I think it was necessary.
And we summarized it, so that was quite. This could easily be a series or some
3 hour conversation
Yeah.
cut into many days.
I had to really just
hone in
narrow
on
it down
things.
and just focus on dating and some personalities. Yeah.
So I hope it answered some of your questions. Thank you, Dr. Karen, for coming. And
thanks for having
once
me.
again, we did not talk about our outfits.
This is so weird.
And she rocks up. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
And she looked so cute today. I
You
love
too.
on the side.
We're both wearing black
necklace.
and red.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing black down here.
But
It's crazy that we're now in sync when it comes to outfits. Thanks for watching, and we will see you very, very soon with our next video featuring Dr. Karen.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.